Oh, I got some juicy news for you. Profit First app version 2.0 is here. With an enhanced user experience and video guidance throughout, you can now be even more confident in your Profit First implementation. Plus, listeners who work with a certified Profit First professional get extra benefits. Check it out now at www.profitfirstapp.com.
Today, right here, right now, this is the moment that you will finally say,
I'm growing my accounting practice, and you're going to discover exactly how right here, right now,
on the Grow My Accounting Practice podcast.
All right, guys, you know what? Well, welcome back. One of the things that we never got to talk about last week was the Super Bowl, right?
What's that?
That was a couple of months ago by now. What
Couple months ago. This is May. This is broadcasting in May.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? What do you guys think of the game?
Boring.
Yeah. What did you think of the halftime show?
Boring.
Oh, I liked it.
Oh,
I love Kendrick. I thought it was great.
Me too. Yeah. So what else is going on, guys? How you been, Liz?
All is well. I mean, so this past weekend I was able to watch my kid's first lacrosse game in college, so that was super exciting. And
Nice.
she got in. She was the only freshman that got in the game, so that was really double exciting. So to
Did
be
she
there
shoot a
and
score or anything?
she didn't. No, it was a quick few minutes, but it was a big deal. So she was very excited, and they have they have another game today. So watching your kid on ESPN is pretty cool, not gonna lie. It's really fun. So Noah, I feel like Noah's taking the day off so he can go watch it at our house.
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah, so we'll be back. I'll be back there. I'll be in Vanderbilt in 2 weeks to watch the game against Ohio State University, the Ohio State University.
Well, I hope
that's it.
Vanderbilt wins the game.
Oh man, I don't know. It's Ohio State. They win. They always do the winning. So,
Yeah.
but that's it. How about you guys?
All
Anything
good
exciting?
here. I can announce that my newest book is now ready to be shared on the title because this is May 1st. The book is called The Money Habit. And what I've done is taken Profit First and translated it to personal finances. So this is an extension of Profit First. And I hope it serves so many more
my
people,
goodness.
the employees of entrepreneurs. So you can check it out. It may be listed on Amazon already, but the website, themoneyhabitbook.com, should be up and ready as you hear this.
If I
That's
had a
what we should have
dollar-
opened up with. Enough of this
Yeah.
ancient Super Bowl stuff. I'm
Yeah.
excited about this book.
I mean,
it's
if
funny.
I had
So
a dollar,
in May, they're already in spring training equivalent for football, you know?
correct.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Mike, this is I know hundreds and thousands of people are going to be so excited about this. I mean, I have so many questions about it. Like how can I do this personally? How can I do this personally? So thank you for writing it on behalf of so many entrepreneurs and just regular old folks.
And
Thank you.
I got one mega tip I'll share about it
Ooh.
in the GMAP Now task that you can take action on during this podcast.
Fantastic.
But let's
Thank
kick into it today. We have
Yeah.
a big conversation. There are reasons, and our guest shares there's 5 reasons that are stopping CPAs from making millions. And we're going to discover what those roadblocks are. Perhaps they're yours. You don't have to be a CPA. You can be a bookkeeper. You can be a coach. It's going to be a theme that's common across all these industries, and you got to fix it. His name is Edward Brooks. And Edward Brooks is a Scottish chartered accountant who qualified in London with Ernst & Young, later expanding his expertise in finance and operations through consulting roles at Accenture and Booz Allen. With a background in building, running, buying, and selling businesses, he has since focused on growing his own ventures across tech, media, consulting, and food industries. With no further ado, Mr. Edward Brooks, welcome to our show.
Oh my.
Hey,
All right. Hello.
I appreciate this. So thank you.
Oh, it's great to have you here.
I have the most important question, first of all.
Already.
Yeah, I'm taking it. I didn't even raise my hand. I
Good,
just bowled
good.
in. I
I'm
need to
waiting.
know about the Indian restaurant chain that you own because Indian is one of my favorite foods. So tell me more.
Yeah,
amazing.
well, long story short was that American Indian food's not as good as British Indian food.
Duh. Oh, I'm well aware.
That's
I
true.
know.
That's true.
Oh, I know.
I haven't had the
Um,
difference.
Oh,
Oh, the British is amazing.
much better.
Yeah, so
Oh, that's so fun.
a year ago, it was almost 2 years ago, we set up started as a pop-up, then we opened up a kind of a delivery and takeaway service out of the far end of Long Island. And we closed at the end of last year to bring it to the city. I'm just really in the process of warming up to kind of, no pun intended, warming up, to actually to roll out in the city here. And it's called Ruby Murray's.
I was just
And
going to ask.
the tagline is Indian food, British style.
Nice.
So, I
Over
think
where?
it's just as a gap in the market across the US. So
Yeah.
Oh, so you're talking about a restaurant here
In the United States.
in the United States? What
Yeah,
city?
we're based in New York, so
Yeah.
Great.
It's
Where
Where's my
is it in the city? Where is it?
It's all virtual. This is 100% virtual. It's delivery and it's delivery only.
Oh,
Well, next time I'm in, I have a little apartment in the city, so I will be ordering it next time I'm there.
It's notoriously spicy. So not only will you have a burning upper lip, you'll have a stiff upper lip too. You got the British combo. So, Edward, how did you come across these? We want to hear what the 5 things are, of course, but how did you even discover what the 5 roadblocks are for CPAs and bookkeepers to make millions?
Well, so I ended up back, working with my sort of core business over the last 4 or 5 years has been helping B2B businesses grow. There's a very heavy content element to that, like showing people's expertise and getting that seen by the exact target audience, and really heavy video content element to that. And at the beginning of last summer, I got introduced to a couple of CPA firms, and it opened myself to the whole new world of, not the whole world, but it's almost like going back into the world of the CPAs, which I'd never really experienced in the US before. And I was just staggered by the industry, the problems they're facing, the challenges. And then we started doing basically research interviews with CPA firm leaders to understand, the issues they were facing, how they were tackling, what they were prioritizing, what they weren't. And first of all, you walked into this industry whereby basically anyone who opens their business can make money. Literally, because the demand is so high and the supply of talent is so low. Literally, it's probably the easiest business to be in the world at the moment, because these are smart, talented people. But then that opens up its own problems in terms of, well, okay, if you actually got a business whereby you don't actually have to do any marketing or sales work because you're always getting referrals, then what does the next stage look for like for you? What how do you get out of bed and get motivated as opposed to just doing the same old? And that was kind of the staggering point, because when you start to have conversation with most CPA firm leaders, and we did like almost 100 interviews, the answer was that pretty comfortable, pretty complacent. And again, I'm certainly not lazy. I mean, because I want to get to that point later. This is not like these are dumb people who don't know what to do and are kind of bumbling. These guys are good, smart people who've consciously made a decision that they're doing really well where they're at. They're topping up their business. But as an entrepreneur, I keep going, oh my God, double your size, increase your capacity, automate this, use AI for that. But the huge amounts of profession are doing very well, very comfortable, providing great service to their clients. So there's nothing negative I could ever say about this. But you've got this also opportunity whereby if they did a couple of more things, then literally to double the size of their business isn't that difficult. They could do it in their sleep if they take a couple of hits. But the hidden bomb in this whole thing is that most conversations with certainly older partners is all about this kind of, well, what next? Who did they sell a business to? Who did they retire? How did they retire? But the reality is, because they haven't addressed the core fundamentals of their business, they're pretty much sitting in a book of business that they're then reselling to someone else. If the 4 senior partners are coming back from a golf trip and that car gets hit by a bus and they get out, literally there's no business for a lot of these firms. Of course, along the way, they're 4 months of the year they're locked away 7 days a week in pretty horrible lifestyle things going on. So there's this whole kind of bizarre world that you've got smart people doing great things, providing amazing services. They're running a highly risky business, that they would never advise their clients to run. They're also, when they're coming to retirement, they're getting probably 50% of the value because they don't have, it's not a scalable business. It isn't really reliant on plugging into a different business. The partners are the be all and end all. And at the end of the day, the partners are also the bottleneck because they're the ones that are so busy, running a business, growing a business, and managing teams, staying on top of their professional capabilities, working with clients, that they don't actually have the time to step back and actually be strategic about the business. So when I looked at this, I go, oh my God, there's so much opportunity. Why is so much the profession just holding itself back?
Yeah. So, okay. You said a couple of things I want to unpack there. The first one of them was they're running decent businesses, comfortable businesses. And then the next one is they're so busy that, they're wrenching on the engine, they're doing this, they're doing that. And so there's two reasons why they're not scaling. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that one, they're comfortable, two, they're busy. And is that basically a realization that it's going to be a lot, the work is not going to be worth the payoff is not going to be worth the effort? Is
No,
that the conclusion? Is that
I
why?
no, I wouldn't say that's the conclusion.
Okay.
There's just a kind of a level of comfort that is kind of, why should I? Why would I bother? Why is that? What am I really going to get from it? Because as this is why obviously the private equity guys or any outsider comes and going, hang on, this is obvious. You take all your transactional work and you shove it into the Philippines and a partner system out there, or India, Pakistan, doesn't really matter. You automate as much as you possibly can with technology. You love your existing staff. You give them all the love and attention you possibly can by taking away all the kind of the transactional stuff. But you realize you can't do that stuff in-house anymore. It's just, that was like the dark ages, and it's holding you back. But with that, you actually start to say, well, now I've got capacity to grow. I'm not actually having to, go and recruit another 10 people to actually grow. I've actually just done this by doing the obvious thing. And if you go back and listen to Thomas Friedman from like 17 years ago, or even the 4-hour working week, these guys all talk about, accountants being prime for actually shipping a lot of this work offshore, and has more. I can't put a scientific number on it, but I would probably guess that 80-90% of the average smaller firm has done absolutely none of that, but is still complaining about the talent shortage.
Yeah.
So I mean, no matter where you go, there's just huge opportunities. But the big question psychologically is, well, why are people not taking these steps when, it's not exactly pioneering work, 18, 20 years later to offshore work to India.
So why would that be? Why aren't they taking the steps, would you assume?
If they were advising themselves, they would be telling themselves to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just the frustrating thing. So when you actually, obviously, I'm keen to conversations with companies who want to grow, firms that actually want to grow, but unless they can address the capacity bottleneck, then nothing else is going to happen. So that's almost like the starting point. Further down the line, the senior partnership has to understand that they are more and more the bottleneck because they are so involved in this, running absolutely everything in the business.
Mm-hmm.
But you're never going to solve that overnight. You can get there, but once you've addressed the capacity issue, once you've worked out how to actually fill that capacity, then you've actually got more cash to actually invest in technology to automate stuff. Suddenly you've got a happier workplace. It's easier to attract people to it as well. But also you've got the funds to now start restructuring the firm slightly. I mean, just these are marginal tweaks to actually say we've now got a scalable business.
So what are some of the other roadblocks? Clearly the partner becomes a bottleneck. There's 5 major roadblocks. What are some of the others? Why don't you kind of list them off and we can tackle each one?
The number one thing is the capacity issue. First and foremost,
Okay.
addressing the capacity issue.
Okay.
Typically, that actually I would actually put that second, but that's the one you have to address, because until you can actually deliver more, then
you sell more, you're overwhelmed. So why don't we just go through what they are and then we'll dig into each one.
So, capacity, sales and marketing.
Okay. The other one is choking on air. That's very common.
Tough.
We knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So capacity, sales and marketing, technology, firm structure, and then reporting lines.
Okay. Oh, those last two are
Yeah.
new terms to me.
Yeah, seriously. Firm structure. And what was the what was the one
Reporting
before
lines.
reporting lines?
Yeah. So why don't we do some reverse order? So could you first of all define for us what reporting lines is, and then how's that a roadblock?
Well, the reporting lines is basically, you've got this, everything goes through the partners, the senior partner or the partner, everything's going through them. So basically their day, and I guess it's a generalization, but their responsibilities are everything from making sure the office doors are open through to the servers working, the cloud strategies in place, through to recruiting new staff and training them. So like as a be all and end all, everything goes through them. And the simple business structure of having a CEO, having a head of sales, head of operations, head of people, that it works for every other business in the world. The CPA firms have to kind of recognize that, because only with that freedom do you actually then and actually you asked the right question to do it in reverse order, because it actually makes a lot more sense. Only with that freedom do they actually have the kind of the bandwidth to kind of think strategically and actually work about, well, how do we really want to run this business?
Okay. So, okay, that makes sense. And how do we fix that? Do we move from kind of a command control hierarchical structure to more of a web-like structure? How do we improve the reporting lines?
Well, this is why I think it is definitely the last step, because unless you've got the purpose of actually change, because we have to start with the premises that people want to change, actually want to take the next step and grow.
Sure.
So really, but once you've got that in place, then you have to have the quick wins. And the quick wins around things like, outsourcing gives you the dopamine hit and the kind of reassurance, the validation that actually, this stuff that we've been talking about or thinking about or heard about actually isn't that difficult. Others have done it. So rather than jumping in and saying, well, the problem is actually the firm structure, that's a bit nebulous, and it's a bit kind of like difficult to, probably, say, yeah, we did it, we changed it. By starting with the capacity issue, it allows you to do the quick wins and start to think differently. And then you go, okay, now we've got access to more capacity. Well, let's get more dopamine going in terms of let's actually let's get our sales and marketing hand. Let's actually proactively find customers. So that we're not relying on referrals. And again, it's an amazing validation thing. We get referrals, we get word of mouth. That's great, but it's not scalable. It's not a kind of and if you've actually opened up capacity, or you want to bring in a new partner, having actually both to say, well, actually, I can now fill that person's work, is probably the biggest thing that's going to shift the value of your business. Because then you can turn it on, turn it up. You can waitlist clients. You can actually, you're in control of things as opposed to just waiting for that next referral. So capacity, sales and marketing, technology, once you've actually got the extra revenues coming in, then you're actually able to say, well, let's do a strategy around, what our tech strategy, or let's define what our tech strategy is going to be. Let's actually start, freeing up people's time, because we've got capacity, we've got, more money coming through. Maybe we're actually increasing our prices, but we've got a bit more cushion to actually invest in these projects that are going to, they're going to have a huge value proposition to our employees, because we're actually saying to our staff, come and work for us. We're outsourcing the transactional work, so don't worry about that. We're investing heavily in technology, so it's a very powerful value proposition to existing staff and new employees. This is how you're going to run the business. But by taking it step by step, you're then investing money into the next technology. You're trying things out. You're recognizing it's going to suck away team time or billable time, but you're actually able to now can afford to do that because you've got the cushion. And also, that this stuff never quite works the way you think it's going to work, and it's going to take a bit longer. But you've got faith that that's actually where it's going to be, because in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, you're going to look back and go, well, that was a no-brainer. Why didn't we do it earlier? So that's just the way the world's going. But by capacity, it allows you to earn more. Having a way of actually filling the capacity allows you to actually, have the funds that allow you to invest in the technology. And then you can say, okay, now that we see this kind of all coming a bit together, now we can look at actually the firm structure and, who's going to take responsibility, who's going to be our IT lead or our operations lead, and view it as opposed to, expecting all partners to be doing the same thing. Because when you talk to a couple of people I work with, they actually advise basically CPA firms who've got dissonance at the leadership level. It's a kind of the partnership model is a very difficult model to run. bunch of smart people doing different agendas, and not necessarily always aligned. No, not necessarily through malice, just not necessarily always aligned, different personalities.
Got it.
But the ability to actually turn that into a much more aligned structure, that's when any investor or next person you sell a firm is going to come along and go, wow, this is absolutely amazing. You've fixed capacity, you've fixed sales, you've fixed technology, you've got a great team there. This is something we can take and bundle in and probably actually just use as the template for molding for rolling into other businesses into.
Well, let me insert here because I'm thinking on behalf of our listeners. Have small businesses. They don't, this to me already feels overwhelming. Having an IT director and so forth. And we may have a business that has 1, 2, or 3 employees. Is this applicable when you're a smaller business, or do you have to wait till you get to a certain size before you can start extracting yourself and having the firm structure and building the capacity?
It all depends what you want. I mean, I think, one of my slight danger flags is, if a client comes to me and says, yeah, I've got 12 employees and I've had 12 employees for 10, 15 years, then you will, well, why are you talking to me? Because I can't, unless you're saying that I really want to grow the business and actually I'm going to mentally change. So, none of this is a criticism of these people who've got very solid, strong, smaller businesses. That's just where they are and they choose to be. So, but they have to choose, they have to want to do something different or be in a different place, in 12, 18 months time. And that's really their decision. You can force them or encourage them, but you can encourage them, but you can't force them.
What about the financials? If I want to change my firm structure, I want to build the capacity.
That's my question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, you take it there. I didn't see your hand go up. So.
No, I was going to say, okay, this is all great, but how does pricing, affect this? Because without the right pricing structure, like Mike was saying, the financials, okay, it's not going to work.
Quite the opposite.
Okay.
No. I mean, I would generally. I mean, most CPA firms could probably add 15% to their billing rates overnight and not have to worry. But no one should bat an eyelids because they haven't done it and they know they haven't done it and they know they want to do it and they put up that. So the price sensitivity is not a thing. But the very first thing you're doing in this approach is you're actually creating capacity, and with the structures you can do around outsourcing nowadays, you don't have to buy, build a building in the Philippines and then fill it with people and then hope for the business to come.
Right.
Basically, you're finding a partner that you're basically going to have the capacity so that when you sell the business, when you sell more client work, then you can actually fill the work.
You throttle it.
So you don't actually have to invest in advance. So the entry point for doing outsourcing is close to zero, a bit of time. The other part is straight away, if you've got staff that are doing the work onshore and you're actually able to free them up by shoving some of this work to your outsource partner, then your staff retention rates are going to increase, straight away. So the risk that you're carrying around people, not happy with their work because they're always doing the transactional work to get to the value add work. That value proposition, you're cutting a risk away from that. You're also making it easy to recruit people as well. So by spending zero, you're actually making it easier. Your profitability could go up. But this is why the next stage you've got to follow on quickly with is you've got to be able to say, well, how do I actually get more business through the door?
Yeah.
And having a way that, and again, the beauty of these businesses is that whether it's a tax accountant, whether it's a senior partner, these guys are sending so much valuable information and knowledge and experience and wisdom, just getting in front of a camera and capturing that, and using that as your marketing is like absolute gold dust. These guys are super smart. So, turn that into an easy sales mechanism isn't difficult at all. So I don't, this is not a huge investment. This is not a kind of a, bet the business on a couple of amazing, unique tweaks that have never been done before. This is pretty standard stuff, but you structure it so it's close, and then you're basically pre-selling work, and then you've got the capacity available when you want to deliver it.
Nice.
I want to go back to the marketing though, really quickly. So you mentioned earlier, marketing, you need a consistent strategy and a plan because referrals, and Mike says this, I think, in your Think Different, your referrals are not a marketing plan. It's not. So what do you think is the number one reason the CPA firms are not marketing? What's in their way for that one?
Well, lack of need primarily because they are getting these things. lack of motivation because, and also just what would I do, how to do it, and they don't realize the extreme value of the knowledge they're sitting on. And again, you look at their competitors and you go, hang on, you know, if you're in this, a CPA firm and a part of one, state, none of your competitors are doing any content marketing anyway. So like you're automatically by doing anything, you're going to be standing out just by being different, by doing that one thing. So the threshold of the competitors is very, very low. So, um, um, and I think they just don't know what to do. And then obviously they're busy, and the firm structure thing gets, makes it even more, their time's not very efficient in terms of where they're using it. But, give us 30 minutes a week and we can get you all the content you need, literally, so that you imagine, on all the channels, and get it seen by your exact target audience. It's not like the threshold is not very difficult.
Yeah.
Great.
So,
Thank you.
Yep. But how does a traditional accounting bookkeeping firm market themselves different? I mean, isn't everybody doing taxes? Isn't everybody on the cloud? Isn't everybody doing compliance? And everybody a strategic advisor? I mean, how do they differentiate themselves?
I don't think they have to. I mean,
Okay, there you go.
I think obviously there's, I mean, these guys do super valuable work, especially at the higher end. But this is not about suddenly you've got some secret sauce that makes you different. This is actually just about putting your face out there and sharing your knowledge and expertise. I mean, this is not, you don't have to suddenly say, well, I've got this very secret tax strategy that no one in the world's ever heard of.
Right.
You
You could be a great tax preparer, a great accountant, just, and without some, secret, special, unique way of doing it, and just be a generic accounting and bookkeeping firm. That's why you were saying that it's so easy, because it's government mandated business.
yeah, exactly. But also, the demand. I mean, basically, is the demand's here, the supply's there. So, but you have to choose to want to fill, go after the demand. That's the bit that's really the differentiator in this whole thing, is that actually having that will, that want, that kind of feeling that, hey, yeah, well, let's add 50% this year, because I can see the value it will give to, to my family, to my business. There's also other parts, it's almost like a scandal that these guys are not promoting themselves, because the society needs these guys and the experience and the capabilities, and by not finding a way to do that smarter and reach more people, they're almost like cutting off society from something that we all need, and so it's like there's definitely a public element into this whole thing.
I've seen over the past year more businesses switching accounting firms to other accounting firms than I have in the past before. Two-part questions. One, are you seeing that? And then the next one is, are there any specific retention strategies that you've seen deployed by accounting firms that you might want to be able to share with the audience?
Not very big on the retention side of things. It's not really our kind of, um, don't really touch that. However, on the switching side of things, absolutely, because again, the complacency that people seem to get from their CPA firm, and they're providing a transactional service as opposed to a value add service, or they haven't heard from them for ages and ages. They only hear from them once a year, and then it comes with a bill, a day later. These are all the stories across the industry, and everyone says the same thing. And I think it always goes back to where we started at the beginning, around the mindset. Why are people doing this? Is it just to kind of have a sell up and retire in a couple of years' time, or is it to do something more? And I think this is the crux of, and again, just by the nature of what I do, I don't really get to speak to the people that are super complacent and are, just churning out a service. The ones I always speak to are the more motivated, wanting to grow, can see the opportunity, and the ones that, I guess maybe I can relate to more easily, but they're the ones that are looking for help just to do that.
Right.
Edward, thank you for this. I just got the clock warning, so we got to go. Before we let you go, there's a lot more that our listeners can learn from you. Where or how do they connect with you?
Yeah, this business is the cpagrowthpartner.com.
Nice.
But we've got a free report that we give away, which is literally the 5 steps laid out exactly.
Oh, great.
And we've started doing it because back in December, one of my team said, "Well, why all this research you're doing? Why don't you just turn it into a podcast?" And we've started doing that, like started recording that, like middle of December. And I can tell you that has been the most eye-opening conversations I've ever had. Because you always expect it to be more about the talent shortage, talent shortage. Quite the opposite. This is people talking about how they do the 4-hour working week for their CPA firm, how they maximize their working week at 40 hours, even in the busy season. People talking about how to do accounting for crypto, people talking about how they actually reskill their staff for an outsourced model. These conversations are amazingly
Cool.
insightful.
Thank you, Edward. We're going to share everything in the show
Awesome.
notes. For our listeners, sign up for his podcast. It's called Grow My Accounting Practice Even More.
Even faster.
Even
better.
faster. Yeah.
No,
Yeah. Well,
faster or
Faster. Yeah, exactly. What's the name of the show, real quick?
the CPA growth partner.
CPA. Oh, that's super simple. All right, everyone, subscribe to that, listen in, and then let's get some Indian food together, the good kind.
Oh my gosh.
In New York
I'm
City.
in.
Edward, thanks for joining us today.
Awesome.
Thanks, Edward.
Ed.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to recap what we learned. We got insider access, I got a GMAP Now task, but first, the trippy question.
You can. Oh, me. That's me. I'm the
It's
tricky
you.
question.
Yes, you, Liz.
Yeah. And Edward, you could just hang out. You could just hang out.
Or you can
hang
split.
out if you want,
He's
or
waving
Whatever you
goodbye.
want. He's busy. He's got a lot going on. So whatever he wants to do.
Um,
So I have my trippy question today. Would you choose to be the worst player on the winning team or the best player on the losing team?
I want to
Michael.
be the worst player in the winning team,
Why?
hands down. Because a team is, by definition, is the elevation of everyone, and so it's participation. The superstars actually annoy me because they think they are the team, some of
Yeah.
them, and that's
Yeah,
the horrible
nice.
thing.
Care. Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Ron.
Yeah, I'd like to be the worst person because I know I'm going to get better.
Nice.
Yeah, I know I'm going to get better. I never want to be the best one.
I just
end
wanna
up
be the best
trying
sometime.
To achieve to be the best one, but I never want to be the best one initially.
I want to be the best one for one game, just to see what that would feel like.
Think
That's
it on
it. Just
ESPN.
one game.
It's pretty awesome.
Your daughter's doing it for you, so live vicariously through her.
Thank you. I do.
Yes,
like all
yes.
parents. Thank
I'm living
you.
through
But
it.
one of my friends went to his dad went to Oxford and came away with the shittiest degree possible. But, but
That
40 years
sounds
later,
like an oxymoron.
40 years-
Oxford and bad degree.
but 40 years later, no one goes, "Oh, what degree did you get?" Everyone goes, "He went to Oxford." That's
Correct.
That's
Amen.
exactly right.
Exactly
funny.
right. Okay.
All right, what are your takeaways, Liz and Ron? What did you hear and learn from Edward? Liz, you're first.
Okay. It's the simplicity of it is more to sort of how Edward finds his ideal clients and how he is looking for the right people is what do you want? What do you want to do? What is your desired outcome? To throw it back to Ron Baker a few weeks ago, is what is your desired outcome? Because if the mindset for growth isn't there, he's not your guy. He could help you with a million things that you don't want. And so just for all of our listeners, it's really starting with that question of what do you want? And then let's see if and how I can help you. Because
Nice.
I can do a lot of things, but if you don't want it, I don't want it.
Right.
Ron, you ready? We got something for us?
Born ready. Yeah, absolutely.
Born
Basically, it's almost like making the move to the CEO versus staying as an accountant that's producing the work. The 5 steps outlined by Ed are pretty easy and make all the sense in the world, especially if you reverse engineer it from 5 going to 1. Right. And then so put on your CEO hat is what I'm hearing. Follow these steps by one, and take a look at them and say, all right, do we have these problems? And then you can correct them lickety split.
So my 2 takeaways. First of all, when you hear it in a Scottish accent, you're like, yes, sir, I'll do it right now.
So much better. I know.
Right, so much better. I
Agreed.
feel like, okay, boss. What Ron asked such a great question. He's like, well, how do you get out there? How do you differentiate? And Edward's like, you don't have to. Just get your face out there. It reminds me of the Woody Allen quote that 90% of success is just showing up, just getting out there. So I was like, sir, yes, sir. But funny thing is, I heard a 6th roadblock of the 5 roadblocks because he kept on repeating it for each roadblock. He said, you have to want to change. So every change he suggested, you have to have the mental desire to change. And I think there's this conscious statement of I want change, but the subconscious behavior of I don't want change. We need to align those with change. Those are my takeaways.
I love it.
Ron, you got a crazy weapon there. It's a pencil turn lightsaber. Oh, it's a Matchbox car, but a big one.
Yeah, I'm just playing with this today.
What do you got for state?
So one of the things is that we went through this transition, Mike, when, I was the bottleneck, of being like Captain Kirk, sitting in the middle of the company, everybody around me, everybody coming to me for every single question, every single this, everything that. And that was a significant bottleneck. And it took us about 18 months to go from task-based management to initiative-based management. And what that did is it allowed so much more freedom for strategy, so much more time for you and I to build the organization versus, me basically telling the staff who was fully capable of doing it anyway, exactly what to do at a micro level. You don't need to do that. Start building yourself as the CEO and move from task-based to initiative-based.
Yeah, it's funny. Ron, I've talked about this a lot. The analogy we use, because Ron has a much deeper sports background than I do, but we both play sports, and you can be the best player, you can be the best coach, or you can be the best team owner, and you need to be the best team owner. And those responsibilities are radically different.
They are. And this is very important, guys. I mean, Mike coached me along this journey year after year after year. And still, even, last executive meeting, insider access, you're like, Ron, you're going on the field again, and it's true. We have to, constantly coach each other. That's the value of a partnership, but also knowing that, hey, a business owner has the tendency to fall back into their old ways.
Yeah. Well, it's human nature, right? Our wiring. So as Edward said, you have to want to change. That was great, Ron. I hear about, there it is. Mind blown. Yeah. I got one more thing for you. It's the GMAP Now task. The one task, if you do it, you'll see results. I promised you a tip from the Money Habit, my brand new book. Now, let me just give you the setup. Vendors, and particularly in this case, credit card companies are one of the mechanisms, but think about streaming services like your Netflix channel or Hulu. There is a behavioral technique they're leveraging against you. And specifically, they lower the cost point to a threshold where something isn't a pain, but a nuisance. And once we're at that threshold, a nuisance, we trigger delay, pain we avoid. So if I charge for Netflix $100 a month or $500 a month, it'll be so painful I won't continue. If I can get down to a threshold where it's a nuisance, $19 a month, I'll sit back and say, is it worth it? And usually delay the decision. There's a second thing. If they bury a nuisance, you won't even think about it. So they want you not even realizing you're paying $19.99 a month. How they do it? They invite you to use credit cards, and most of us spread it out. So for you to manage your money well, you actually want to see the pain you're experiencing. Here's the really simple game-changing technique. Get one credit card. I got one here myself. Write the word subscriptions on it. You can see I have it written there if you're watching the video myself on this. And put all of your subscriptions, those $19.99 subscriptions, or whatever they are, on one credit card. Then when you get that bill, it's going to be shocking that you're spending $100 or $300 or $500 on subscriptions. That gives you awareness. There's no longer nuisance avoidance. There's paying action, and you'll clean up your subscriptions. That's a money habit technique.
Awesome. Boom. That was awesome. Yeah, those things add up, and they're sneakily adding as well. They're raising their rates. My $9 of a Netflix is now close to 100. So great technique. Listeners, thank you so much for listening. Ed, thank you so much for being an awesome guest. Listeners, don't forget to subscribe to Grow My Accounting Practice podcast so you never miss an episode. And also, we want to talk with you. Liz and I want to have a conversation to see if you would be an awesome Profit First professional. If so, apply to profitfirstprofessionals.com and fill out the application, leave a refundable $250 deposit, and let's see if we're a fit for each other.
Excellent. All right. Thanks everybody.
Have
a great day.
That's fascinating. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye.